Two things define who you are: your patience when you have nothing, and your attitude when you have everything. Imam Ali. The deepest layers of a person's ego are never fully unveiled during tranquil days. It is only truly exposed when we confront the two absolute extremes of human existence: absolute destitution and ultimate abundance. When one's hands are empty, the human heart is easily driven by a restless impatience. We yearn to ascend to the summit with blinding speed, demanding that all bolted doors fly open instantly, and insisting that life be perfectly just from the very first step. Yet, such haste is akin to forcibly yanking a newly sprouted seedling upward. The inevitable outcome is not grand growth, but a fatal rupture from its very roots. Patience is not mere passive endurance within suffering. Rather, it is the profound ability to keep the mind utterly still, even as the tempests of life refuse to cease. Those who can wait in serene composure do so not out of frailty, but because they comprehend an eternal law. All enduring values require a silent gestation period to truly form. Diamonds only crystallize beneath the crushing weight of millennia, and a transcendent character can only emerge from months and years of silent, relentless forging. However, the trial at the pinnacle conceals a far more seductive and velvety snare. Wealth, status, and echoing adulation can silently inflate the ego, leading to a perilous delusion regarding our true standing. Many can valiantly conquer poverty, only to ultimately succumb to the bloated ego born of their own success. They begin to gaze upon the world with arrogant eyes, forsaking the turbulent days when they desperately needed a lifting hand, and inadvertently lose their primordial sense of gratitude. Success is akin to the scorching midday sun. It can spectacularly illuminate the heavens, yet it easily blinds those who become too engrossed in staring at its brilliance. Your attitude when holding the world in the palm of your hand is the ultimate measure of your soul's depth. The truly formidable do not wield their success to tower over others. Rather, they use it as a canopy to shelter and elevate those around them, advancing together. Adversity tests one's endurance, whereas sheer abundance tests the mastery over one's own ego. A soul that proves resilient in agony is not guaranteed to retain its kindness upon touching the zenith of glory. Life mirrors the eternal ebb and flow of the tides. At times, the receding waters expose a barren stretch of sand, while at others, the rising swell brings forth the boundless riches of the ocean. Yet, regardless of the shifting tides, the shoreline forever holds its ground with unwavering sovereignty. Your truest value is not anchored in the vastness of the wealth you possess today, but in the profound reality that, no matter how circumstances mutate, your dignity remains as pristine as it was on day one. The greatest pleasure in life is doing what people say you cannot do. Walter Bagehot. The most bitter tragedy of human existence stems not from the limitations of our capabilities, but from unwittingly allowing the skepticism of the outside world to slither in and become the sovereign voice within our minds. When this occurs, one has single-handedly bolted the doors to their own future long before life even has the chance to present a trial. Great souls have never perceived doubt as a life sentence. Instead, they envision it as a roaring, combustible fuel. Every dismissive "you cannot" strikes like a fierce, opposing gale. To the fragile, this wind causes them to falter and retreat into the shadows. Yet, for those possessing the spirit of the eagle, this very headwind serves as the divine leverage that propels them soaring into the heavens. The eagle does not assert its majesty in a windless sky, but claims its dominion by mastering the tempest. The disdain and skeptical glares of the masses, if embraced with the right spirit, transform into the ultimate forge for an unwavering, steely resolve. Miraculously, the very moment you shatter the confines imposed upon you by others, the first entity to step gloriously into the light is not them, but you yourself. Every triumph does more than merely reprogram your mindset, transmuting dread into valor. It also miraculously converts antiquated milestones into brilliant new points of origin. Through the profound lens of the inner self, it is an expedition of unearthing absolute faith in oneself. A minuscule stride taken today constructs the impenetrable bedrock for tomorrow's colossal trials, much like a fiber of muscle that only achieves true might after enduring boundless pressure. To live is not merely to prove others wrong, for if you become utterly consumed by petty vindication, you will forever remain shackled as a slave to the world's judgment. The quintessential value lies in proving that today's iteration of yourself has gloriously transcended who you were yesterday. In that golden moment, success ceases to be a mere trophy for ostentation, morphing instead into a profound testament to the maturation of a soul. The truly powerful emerge victorious not out of a thirst for vengeance, but because they grasp that every forward stride renders their existence vastly more radiant and deeply meaningful. The world will forever harbor both those who believe in your light and those who vehemently doubt your fire. You cannot dictate the fleeting opinions of humanity, but you possess absolute sovereignty over your own attitude. Let your unwavering perseverance speak in place of hollow justifications. Let your undeniable results silence all worldly disputes, and use your daily, relentless exertion to sculpt the masterpiece of your own portrait. If you are depressed, you are living in the past. If you are anxious, you are living in the future. If you are at peace, you are living in the present. Lao Tzu. Humanity often operates under the grand illusion that external circumstances are the sowers of their misery. Yet, in truth, it is the mind's endless, restless wanderings that truly plunder the tranquility of the soul. We inhabit the present merely in flesh, while inextricably anchoring ourselves to the past through memories and frantically chasing the future, driven by formless fears. It is only when the mind and the absolute reality beat in synchronized harmony that genuine inner peace takes flight. Depression is but the heavy shadow of the past cast upon the present. It descends when we drown ourselves in agonizing regrets over what was lost, past transgressions, or countless forsaken opportunities. The human mind possesses a morbid tendency to carve traumas deep, turning a bygone failure into a perpetually bleeding wound that transcends the years. This phenomenon is akin to a driver whose gaze remains fixated solely upon the rearview mirror. Not only do they forsake the breathtaking scenery along the journey, but they also hurl themselves toward impending catastrophe. The past is an infinitely wise mentor, yet it devolves into a dreary dungeon should we willingly become its prisoners. Carry forth the enlightenment it offers and leave the bitter sorrow far behind. Anxiety, conversely, is the footprint of a mind sprinting far too recklessly toward tomorrow. We conjure hundreds of tempestuous scenarios in our minds long before the sky even begins to gather clouds. The paradox is that the vast majority of these horrifying visions never materialize, yet they effortlessly siphon away the vitality and joy of our present moment. Worrying is akin to desperately hoisting a massive umbrella beneath the blazing summer sun, terrified of a rainstorm that has yet to even be promised. The more we strain to dictate the unwritten future, the more we amputate our capacity to revel in the miraculous gifts currently resting in our palms. Only the present stands as the true sanctuary of existence. This is the sole dimension wherein you possess the power to take action, to love deeply, to heal profoundly, and to undergo monumental transformation. Inner peace does not equate to a life utterly devoid of turbulence. Rather, it manifests when the soul is no longer violently torn between the past and the future. A majestic river maintains its crystalline purity when its waters are neither stagnant at the source nor feverishly swept away toward the estuary. When you learn to pause, to completely immerse yourself in every fleeting breath, every stroke of sunlight, and every raw fragment of today, you will awaken to the truth that bliss was never a distant shore. It has always been right here, residing profoundly in the very split second you choose to truly exist. A year from now, you may wish you had started today. Karen Lamb. The most profound agony of human life does not stem from daring attempts that end in failure, but from the desolate years squandered in indefinite procrastination. We perpetually deceive ourselves with the illusion of a perfect moment to begin, when our finances are invincible, when our wisdom is fathomless, or when the alignment of the cosmos is flawlessly in our favor. Yet, the stark, unforgiving reality remains. The perfect moment is a myth that has never existed. While we remain utterly hypnotized by the act of waiting, the great wheel of time silently rotates, sweeping away epochal opportunities that shall never return. Procrastination does not merely sprout from the soil of laziness. It is a thick veil masquerading our dread of failure, the terror of rejection, and the paralyzing fear of bearing accountability for our grandest ambitions. To anesthetize that deep-seated insecurity, the mind ceaselessly conjures seductive rationalizations. Let it be tomorrow. Next week will be pristine. Or await a time of absolute stability. These silken excuses act as a velvet mattress, trapping us indefinitely within the suffocating comfort zone, causing us to entirely forget the towering summits we once thirsted to conquer. Time is like water slipping ruthlessly through our fingertips. It never flows backward to wait for anyone to finally be ready. A seed sown in its rightful season possesses the cosmic potential to sprout into an ancient, towering monolith. But if clutched rigidly in the palm out of terror that the soil is unworthy, as time evaporates, that seed will merely rot into dust alongside our most agonizing regrets. Success does not exclusively bestow its grace upon the most brilliant at the starting line. Rather, it eternally smiles upon those armed with the audacity to plunge into the unknown long before they feel entirely prepared. Minute steps consistently harbor an explosive, metamorphic power that the human mind struggles to fully fathom. A single page, devoured each day, weaves a majestic tapestry of wisdom over the span of a year. A solitary hour of daily forging tempers a constitution of impenetrable steel. One singular, audacious decision made today possesses the sheer velocity to irrevocably alter the entire trajectory of your destiny. The mighty forest titan was once a fragile, trembling sprout, yet it did not foolishly wait to become a colossal tree before plunging its roots into the earth's fiery core. It achieved greatness precisely because it dared to stretch toward the heavens from the very genesis of its existence. A year from now, time will have marched on, unflinching in its eternal law. The singular, haunting difference will lie solely in this. Will you glance back upon the winding road with eyes ablaze in pride, or with an agonizing, bitter sigh, refuse to let your future become a bleak, lightless dungeon built from the echoes of what if? Decree today, as the definitive moment, you lay down the first indestructible bricks for the palace of your dreams. The master has failed more times than the beginner has even tried. Stephen McCranie. While marveling at the divine virtuosity of a master, we are frequently blinded by their radiant aura, conveniently forgetting the grueling, endless nights they spent toiling in sheer darkness, the devastating falls that nearly shattered them, and the infinite blunders that fiercely tempted them to surrender entirely. What sculpts a grandmaster is not a pristine, unblemished track record, but an unyielding, titangent-like spirit that absolutely refuses to recognize failure as the final destination. The novice is perpetually paralyzed by the phobia of making mistakes, catastrophically equating failure with an inherent inferiority of the self. It is this very dread that shackles their feet within the hollow confines of false security. Yet, in truth, the mistake has never been the sworn enemy of triumph. It operates as the most silent, brutally uncompromising guide. An infant can never stand resolute on its own 2 feet without having tumbled hundreds of times. An artisan can never breathe life into a masterpiece without first butchering an infinity of rough stones. The legendary blade only emerges in all its glory after enduring the blistering torment of the forge and the merciless onslaught of 1,000 hammer strikes. Humanity mirrors this ancient alchemy. One can only forge an invincible soul after boldly marching through catastrophic shatterings. Every devastating failure is, in reality, a monumental emancipation of the mind. When a road forcefully barricades itself, the intellect does not merely log the obstruction, it is violently forced to birth brilliant, creative pathways into existence. This profound phenomenon explains why the relentlessly persistent soar astronomically further than those who passively vegetate, awaiting pristine conditions. They do not perceive defeat as a life sentence upon their competence, but rather venerate it as a sacred reservoir of vital data, utilizing it to masterfully recalibrate their odyssey. Envision, if you will, a towering, cloud-piercing summit. The silhouette, standing victorious at its peak, is not a creature of sheer luck gracefully dropped from the heavens, but the warrior who scaled every jagged, treacherous cliff, who slipped countless times, who bled profusely, yet fiercely refused to ever turn back. Every savage scar acquired on that brutal ascent acts as a glorious medallion of endurance. Every agonizing collapse operates as a mystical, invisible stepping stone. Viewed in isolation, these instances masquerade as devastating tragedies. However, when meticulously stacked upon one another by the mortar of indomitable perseverance, they materialize into a phenomenal bridge, elevating you to touch infinite zeniths. Cast aside the shame of being merely a beginner and utterly banish despair when the fruits of your labor fail to meet your grandest expectations. The true, spine-chilling horror does not lie in failing 10 consecutive times. It lies in fatally aborting the mission on the 11th attempt. The undisputed grandmaster of today is nothing more than the stumbling beginner of yesterday, the spirit who continually made the uncompromising choice to resurrect themselves after every agonizing fall, transmute every single error into an illuminating prophecy, forge every devastating defeat into an indestructible brick of character, and turn every triumphant rise into a thunderous declaration, asserting that you are advancing closer than ever to the most spectacularly radiant version of yourself.